The stranger in the parking lot was a hot afternoon in Los Angeles, the kind that makes the pavement shimmer and sweat stick to your back like glue. Outside the back of a busy hardware superstore, a young woman named Elena crouched near the loading dock, her hands covered in dust and dried paint. She had just finished moving a stack of tiles from a delivery truck, her arms aching and legs trembling. Her brown apron was soaked with sweat, and her name tag hung loosely from a safety pin. She didn't see the man watching her from the parking lot. Elena had been working 2 jobs since her mother got sick. Every morning started with caregiving, duties helping her mom dress, prepare meals, managing medicine. Then she'd rush to the hardware store, where the hours were long and the breaks short. She barely made enough to pay rent, let alone afford her mother's treatments. She sat down for a moment on an overturned bucket, wiping her forehead with a torn cloth. She didn't realize her 15-minute break had ended 10 minutes ago. "Elena, what do you think this is, a spa?" shouted Bradley, the assistant manager. His voice cracked through the heavy air like a whip. Elena jumped to her feet, nearly tripping over her own boots. "Sorry, sir," she said quickly, avoiding eye contact. "You're always sorry," he sneered. "Maybe you should be faster instead of sorry." In the distance, a tall man wearing jeans, a faded black hoodie, and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes was watching all of this unfold. No one recognized him. He had walked in like any other customer and taken a seat on a cement ledge near the employee parking area. But there was something different about him, his stillness, the way he quietly observed, and the deep, thoughtful look in his eyes. His name was Keanu Reeves, but no one knew that. He had come to the store without an entourage, no cameras, no publicist, just himself, hidden in plain sight. Keanu had been filming a documentary on kindness in America, and he was doing something different. He wanted to walk among regular people, feel what they felt, see what they faced. He wanted to understand struggle, not from a distance, but from the ground up. And today, he had found himself drawn to the exhausted girl in the backlot. He saw the way the manager barked at her. He saw how she flinched not out of laziness, but from pure exhaustion. And he saw something else to how no one else noticed. The sun blazed overhead. Keanu quietly stood, walked to the vending machine, and bought a cold bottle of water. Then, without saying a word, he walked toward her. Elena had gone back to lifting a crate of paint buckets when a bottle of cold water appeared in front of her. Startled, she looked up into the face of a stranger. "Here," he said softly. "You look like you need this." She blinked, unsure whether to accept it. "It's okay," he said. "It's just water." She took it with shaky hands. "Thank you," she said, not sure what else to say. "You work hard," he said. Elena gave a weak smile. "I try. Does anyone ever thank you?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "Not really." He didn't push. Instead, he just sat down on the nearby step and watched the clouds. "What's your name?" he asked after a pause. "Elena." "I'm Kevin," he said. A fake name, but it served the moment. He didn't want his identity to overshadow hers. They talked for a few more minutes. Keanu didn't ask for her story. He didn't need to. It was written in her tired eyes and cracked hands. What he didn't know was that someone had seen him talking to her. Mr. Bradley. From the shadows, the manager watched with suspicion. Who was this stranger? Why was he chatting with the lowest-ranked employee in the store? He marched over, arms crossed, ready to bark again. "Elena, what are you doing?" he snapped. "You think this is social hour?" Before she could answer, Keanu stood up. "I offered her water," he said calmly. She looked like she needed it. Bradley looked him up and down. "And who are you?" Keanu tilted his head. "Just someone who believes people should be treated with kindness." Bradley scoffed. "Look, buddy, she's on the clock. She's always finding ways to slack off. Maybe she should go work somewhere else if she wants handouts." Elena's face turned red. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Shame wrapped around her like a cold chain. Keanu's jaw tensed, but he stayed calm. "Maybe you don't see how hard she's working," he said. "Maybe you don't see much at all." Bradley waved him off and stormed inside, muttering insults under his breath. Keanu turned to Elena, who stood frozen. "Thank you," she whispered. "But you should go." He'll make my life harder now. Keanu's eyes narrowed. What if you didn't have to deal with people like him anymore? He asked gently. She blinked. What do you mean? But Keanu didn't answer. Instead, he pulled a card from his pocket and handed it to her. Don't lose this, he said. I'll be back. Then he walked away, disappearing between the cars in the parking lot. Elena looked down at the card. It only had one line. Kindness never forgets. She didn't know that she had just met Keanu Reeves. She didn't know that everything in her life was about to change, and she didn't know that the next time she saw him, the whole world would be watching. The man behind the hoodie next morning came faster than Elena expected. Her alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. Her back ached, her hands were still sore, and she hadn't slept much. Her mother had coughed through the night, and Elena had stayed by her side, holding a damp cloth to her forehead. But somehow, as tired as she was, her mind kept going back to the man in the hoodie. His voice was soft but strong. His words had settled deep in her chest. And that card, simple, mysterious, was tucked safely in her apron pocket. She didn't know why, but she felt like something had shifted, like someone finally saw her. When she arrived at work, the store looked the same. The big glass windows reflected the early sun. Forklifts beeped in the distance. Customers walked in with weekend renovation plans. But inside, something had changed. The general manager, Mr. Hampton, was walking around with a clipboard, inspecting employees, asking questions. Usually he stayed in his office, but today he was visible, alert, and nervous. Elena found her co-worker Jessie stocking shelves. What's going on? She asked. Jessie raised an eyebrow. You didn't hear? Someone important's visiting. Big shots from the main office. Something about anonymous complaints and secret audits. Elena's heart jumped. Anonymous? She asked, trying to sound casual. Jessie nodded. Yep, someone powerful's watching, and rumor is it has something to do with the backlot and how we treat workers. Elena didn't say anything. She just quietly reached into her pocket and felt the edge of the card. By noon, tension had settled over the store like fog. Mr. Bradley was acting overly nice, smiling, offering help, even complimenting Elena on her good posture. She knew something was off. Then it happened. A black van pulled up to the loading dock, and 3 people stepped out. One was holding a clipboard, another wore a headset, and the third walked in the middle with quiet confidence. He wore a tailored suit, clean, dark, but not flashy, and behind him walked the same man from yesterday. Jeans, hoodie, baseball cap. Elena's breath caught. No way, whispered Jessie beside her. Is that? Wait. No way. The man lifted his cap slightly, just enough. It was Keanu Reeves. People froze, some dropped boxes, others stopped in their tracks. Customers stared, whispering. Keanu walked slowly through the store, not saying much, just looking. His eyes landed on Elena. He gave the smallest nod. Her heart beat so loud she couldn't hear anything else. Then Mr. Hampton approached with a smile so forced it looked painful. Mr. Reeves, it's an absolute honor, he said. We had no idea you were connected to the audit. Keanu smiled politely. You weren't supposed to. Mr. Bradley appeared behind him. Still clueless. Who's this guy? He asked, chuckling. One of the TV guys. Keanu turned slowly. I met you yesterday, he said calmly. Bradley squinted. Wait, hoodie guy? People were now gathering. Phones came out. Employees whispered. Bradley still didn't get it. Oh right, you gave water to the girl. Listen, man, that's sweet, but this isn't a charity. Workers gotta work. Breaks have rules. Keanu raised his hand slightly. Bradley stopped talking. You said something interesting, Keanu replied. You said she was always slacking. Maybe she should go somewhere else. He turned to the crowd now. I've been filming a documentary, not about celebrities, not about myself, but about how regular workers are treated in America. The ones who go unnoticed, the ones no one thanks. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. Yesterday, Keanu continued, I saw something that broke my heart. I saw a young woman giving everything she had while being disrespected by someone who thought no one was watching. He turned to Bradley. But someone was watching. The room was silent. Hampton cleared his throat. We're very sorry to hear that, Mr. Reeves. Rest assured, any mistreatment will be addressed. Keanu looked at Elena. What's your position? He asked. She hesitated. Junior stockroom. Assistant. Not anymore, he said. Everyone stared. From today, Keanu said. You're promoted to team supervisor. Gasps. You've already shown more leadership and strength than most people I've seen, he added. You care, and I value that more than any title. Elena's hands shook. She couldn't speak. Bradley turned pale. You can't do that. She doesn't have the experience. She doesn't know management. Keanu looked at him calmly. But she knows respect, he replied, and she knows kindness. Those are harder to teach. The production assistant beside Keanu handed Elena a new name badge. Still warm from the printer. Elena Ramirez, team supervisor. Tears ran down her cheeks. Jesse hugged her from the side. But it wasn't over. Keanu turned to the store management. As for Mr. Bradley, he said slowly, I suggest a full investigation into his conduct. Bradley began stammering. Wait, no, I didn't mean this is all a misunderstanding. Keanu raised his hand again. Let your actions speak for themselves. A security officer walked over quietly and asked Mr. Bradley to follow him. The crowd watched as he was led away, no longer the one shouting orders. Keanu turned back to Elena. Can I tell you something? He asked softly. She nodded, eyes wide. Yesterday, when I gave you that card, I wasn't helping you, he said. You helped me. You reminded me why kindness matters. She finally found her voice. Thank you for seeing me. Keanu smiled. We need more people like you. He turned to leave. His job done. But before he reached the door, he paused and looked back. Oh, he said casually, I also own part of this store chain now. I bought in last month. And with that, he disappeared into the sunlight. Elena stood frozen. Badge in hand, the room still spinning. What had just happened felt like a dream. But it was real, and her life was never going to be the same again. Asterisk. Whispers and wonder. Be the end of the week. The entire city was talking. News spread fast, first through quiet whispers between employees, then through local social media pages, and finally onto national news channels. Keanu Reeves promotes. Store worker after witnessing mistreatment. Undercover kindness. Hollywood star helps exhausted employee live her dream. But Elena wasn't focused on the headlines. She was still trying to make sense of her new life. She now wore a clean, fitted uniform with a badge that actually meant something. People who never noticed her before were suddenly greeting her with smiles, asking for advice, respecting her. Some of it felt fake. She wasn't sure who truly meant it. But Jesse was still there. You okay? He asked one afternoon while they were fixing a display rack together. I guess. She replied quietly. Everything's different. I used to feel invisible. Now, everyone's watching. That's because you earned it, Jesse said. You didn't chase attention. You just worked hard. People saw that. And Keanu, well, he noticed what others ignored. Elena smiled. But inside, she was still uneasy. She hadn't seen Keanu again since that moment. But his words stayed with her. You reminded me why kindness matters. That night, as she left the store, something unusual caught her eye. There was a man sitting alone on a bench near the bus stop. He looked homeless, with torn shoes and a large gray coat wrapped around him. Though the evening was warm. No one else seemed to notice him. She paused. Part of her wanted to keep walking. She was tired, her shift was long, and her mother still needed her. But she remembered the bottle of water. So she walked over. Sir, she said softly, are you all right? He looked up, startled. His face was weathered, eyes sunken, but something in them still sparkled. You don't have to talk to me, he muttered. Most people don't. She sat down beside him. My name's Elena, she said. He nodded slowly. I'm Walter. They talked for a few minutes. Nothing deep, just stories about weather, traffic, the taste of store-brand coffee. Then he said something that froze her. You work at the hardware store, right? The one where that movie guy made a scene. She smiled. You mean Keanu? He chuckled. Yeah, him. He's been coming around more than you think. Her eyebrows rose. What do you mean? Walter leaned closer. his voice low. He didn't just stop by once. I've seen him 3 more times. Walks around quiet, watching, helping people without telling them who he is. Are you sure? Walter nodded. Last night, he helped a woman fix a flat tire near the warehouse exit. Didn't say a word, just helped and left. Elena's heart skipped. He was still watching. Not to be admired but to keep doing what he believed in. The next morning, she arrived early, too early. The sun hadn't fully risen yet. The parking lot was empty, but someone was sweeping leaves near the garden section. Hoodie, jeans, ball cap. Her breath caught. Keanu, she called out. He turned slowly, smiling. Hey, he said simply. She walked up to him, heart racing. You're still here? He nodded. Not officially, just visiting. Why? She asked softly. He paused before answering. Because I wasn't finished, he said. Your story inspired me, but I realized something. For every Elena, there are thousands more. People no one sees, people hurting, tired, honest. He looked out at the sky, painted orange by the rising sun. I used to think movies were the best way to reach people, he continued. But now I think it's moments like this, real ones. They stood in silence for a moment. You changed my life, Elena said quietly. You changed mine. He replied. She laughed, wiping a tear. Then, she remembered something. The man at the bus stop, Walter. He said you helped someone with a tire. Keanu smiled. He's a good observer. She tilted her head. How many times have you been back? He shrugged. A few. I don't count. I just follow where I'm needed. She looked at him with wonder. Most rich people don't come back. He smiled sadly. That's the problem. Then he reached into his hoodie and handed her a folded piece of paper. What's this? She asked. A job offer, he said, but not for the store. She opened it. It was a letter, an invitation, signed by Keanu himself. Join my foundation. Help run a new program for frontline workers. Lead it. Her hands trembled. I can't. I don't have a degree or training. You have something better, he interrupted. You have heart. You've lived it. You've survived it. You'll know how to lift others. Tears streamed down her face. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he said gently, and she did. As the sun rose higher, the two of them stood under the sky. Not actress and actor, not worker and celebrity. Just two people, bonded by something stronger than fame. Kindness. The test of truth. Elena's last day at the hardware store came faster than she expected. The past week had been a whirlwind. From being promoted to receiving a job offer she never dreamed of, everything moved like a river after a storm, fast, unpredictable, and full of emotion. The store's employees threw her a small farewell gathering, balloons tied to metal racks, a cake from the grocery across the street, and smiles from people who barely noticed her before. Jesse hugged her tight. Go out there and show them what you're made of, he said. You're gonna change lives. Elena, she smiled. I'll try. But deep inside, something kept tugging at her. Not fear, not regret, but a strange feeling like something unfinished still hung in the air. She didn't have to wait long to find out what. Just after she packed her locker, her phone buzzed. It was a text from a private number. Meet me at the warehouse behind the store. Come alone. She stared at it for a moment. Her heart beat faster, but something told her it wasn't dangerous. So she went. The warehouse was dim and quiet, filled with shadows and silence. Sunlight slipped through the high windows in long golden beams, and in the middle of the space stood Keanu Reeves. He wasn't wearing his hoodie this time. Instead, he wore a simple black shirt and jeans, clean, relaxed, humble. He turned when he heard her steps. Thank you for coming, he said. Of course, she replied softly. Is everything all right? He nodded slowly, then pulled a chair forward and motioned for her to sit. Before you step into this new chapter, he began, there's something I need to share. Something heavy. Elena sat quietly, listening. Keanu looked away for a moment, then back at her. A few years ago, he said, I met someone like you. Her name was Mari. Elena leaned in. She was working in a diner in Nevada, serving tables, taking care of her sick dad, barely holding it all together. I was passing through while filming. She didn't know who I was. I watched her take insults from a customer without flinching, then walk into the kitchen and cry silently while slicing lemons. He paused. I left her a big tip that day, wrote a note. I thought that would be enough. I thought I did something. Kind. Elena waited. 2 months later, I got a letter from her younger brother. He said, Mari had collapsed at work. She'd ignored her own health for too long. The brother said she always talked about the note I left, but wished I had stayed. Wished someone had really seen her. His voice cracked. I never forgot that. It haunted me. I realized then that small gestures are beautiful, but sometimes people need more. They need someone who doesn't just stop by, but walks beside them. Elena felt her eyes well up. That's why I started this foundation, he continued. And that's why I picked you. Not because you were broken, but because you kept going when you were. He stood and walked to a table nearby. There was a folder on it. He handed it to her. Inside is your first assignment, he said. But it's not a desk job. You'll visit sites across the country, meet workers, speak with them, find those who've been forgotten, not to fix everything, but to notice, to honor. She opened the folder. Inside were photos, notes, locations. One photo stopped her cold. Wait, she whispered. I know this girl. The photo showed a young woman in a supermarket apron, wiping down a table while a man pointed and shouted. She looked small, frightened, exhausted. Her name's Maya, Keanu said. She's in Fresno. She works double shifts, supports her siblings. She's where you were a month ago. Elena stared at the image. You want me to go to her? I want you to be the person I wasn't years ago, Keanu said. I want you to reach her before she breaks. Elena felt her whole chest tighten. This wasn't just a job. It was a mission, a purpose. I'll go, she said, her voice steady. Keanu smiled. Good. But just as she stood to leave, he held up a hand. There's one more thing. Elena turned. You remember Bradley? He asked. Her face darkened. How could I forget? Keanu pulled out his phone and showed her a video. It had been filmed secretly by security cameras and a hidden mic Keanu's team had installed during their audit. In the video, Bradley could be seen standing in the break room with 2 other men, laughing, mocking. She acts all sweet now, Bradley sneered. But she's just a maid with a sad story. People like her don't deserve promotions, they deserve pity. Can't wait till this Keanu guy forgets about her. Elena clenched her fists. We kept this hidden for now, Keanu said softly. But I wanted you to choose what to do with it. What do you mean? We can release it, expose him, get him blacklisted from every store in the region. Or we let him go, quietly, no revenge. Elena's hands shook. She watched the screen again. Then she took a long breath. Delete it, she said. Keanu looked surprised. He's already lost his job, she explained. He's lost his pride. I don't want to carry bitterness into this new life. I want to carry purpose. Keanu's smile returned, this time deeper, fuller. That, he said, is what makes you powerful. They walked out of the warehouse, side by side. And as they stepped into the sun, Elena knew she wasn't the same person anymore. Not because of the title, not because of the attention, but because she had found something many people never do. A reason to keep walking. The girl in aisle 9. Elena arrived in Fresno with only one bag and a binder full of notes. The town was smaller than Los Angeles, quieter, with long stretches of flat land and wide streets. It smelled of dry dust, warm bread, and fuel. The sun beat down harder here. People walked slower, but the air still carried stories if you listened closely enough. She checked into a small motel near the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just a clean bed, a tiny desk, and a window overlooking the highway. She pulled out the file and stared at the girl again. Maya, 19 years old, working at a discount supermarket on the east side. No father in the picture, mother disabled, 2 younger brothers, both still in school. No record of misconduct, no complaints filed. But her photo said more than any words could. Haunted eyes, bent shoulders, hands curled like they'd forgotten how to rest. Elena knew that look. She used to wear it too. The next morning, she put on a casual jacket and a baseball cap, nothing to stand out, and walked into the supermarket. No cameras, no name tag. She was just a shopper now. She spotted Maya almost immediately. She was wiping down a display of canned soup in aisle 9, her arms moving slowly, almost mechanically. A manager was barking orders from a few steps away, not even looking at her. Customers passed without a glance. Elena walked closer. "Hi," she said softly. Maya looked up, startled. "Oh, sorry, I'll be out of the way in a second." "No, you're fine," Elena said. "I just wanted to ask you something." Maya blinked, confused. "Do you like working here?" Elena asked. A small silence fell between them. Maya looked down at the cloth in her hand. "It's a job," she said quietly. "It helps pay bills." "But is anyone helping you?" Elena asked. Maya didn't answer. Elena placed a small card on the shelf beside her. "My name's Elena. I used to be like you, tired, unseen, holding everything together while breaking inside." Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away and turned. A voice snapped through the air. "Maya, stop talking and get back to restocking." A man in a wrinkled polo shirt with a name badge that read Ron stomped toward them. "She's not slacking," Elena said firmly. "We were having a conversation." Ron sneered. "And who are you?" "A social worker, a therapist, just someone who notices things," she replied. Ron rolled his eyes. "If you're not buying anything, leave the store." Elena turned to Maya. "I'll be outside if you want to talk." And she walked away. Maya didn't follow. Not that day. Elena waited in the parking lot for over an hour, watching through the glass windows. Maya never came out. Her heart sank. Maybe she wasn't ready. That night, Elena sat on the edge of her motel bed, unsure if she had failed. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Is this Elena?" "It's Maya." "Can we meet?" They met at a bench outside a closed bakery. The next morning. Maya looked smaller in the daylight, tired beyond her years. "Why did you come here?" she asked softly. Elena didn't waste time. "Because someone once did the same for me, and now I want to do it for you." Maya stared at the ground. "You don't know what it's like." Elena nodded. "Then tell me." Maya opened up, slowly, carefully, like someone learning to breathe again. She talked about how her mom hadn't walked in 2 years, how she took the night shift to watch her brothers during the day, how she skipped meals to stretch her paychecks, how Ron laughed when she asked for an extra day off to take her mom to the clinic. And then she shared something she hadn't told anyone. "A few weeks ago," Maya whispered, "I thought about leaving, not the job. I mean, everything." Elena's chest tightened. "I just didn't want to keep going," Maya said, tears finally spilling. "But then I saw this man in a movie on TV. He said something like, sometimes the smallest act of kindness can pull someone out of the darkness. I didn't know why, but it stuck with me." Elena covered her mouth. "That was Keanu," she said. "He said that in one of his interviews." Maya nodded slowly. "It made me wait just a little longer." Elena took her hand. "He helped me too. That's why I'm here now. You're not alone." Maya cried in her arms for a long time. Then Elena made a call. 2 days later, Keanu Reeves walked into that Fresno supermarket. Ron nearly dropped his clipboard. Customers gasped. Employees whispered and stared. Keanu didn't speak to the cameras or wave at fans. He walked straight to the back, where Maya was organizing shelves with her head down. He crouched beside her and whispered, "You held on. That makes you stronger than most people I know." She turned and stared into the eyes she'd seen only on screens. "Thank you," she breathed. He nodded. "Elena told me everything. You're exactly who we've been looking for." He stood up and announced to the entire store, "This young woman is joining a national program to support frontline workers across America. And starting today, she's officially part of our team." Cheers erupted. Ron tried to laugh it off, but Keanu's assistant quietly handed him a termination notice. Justice came not in revenge, but in restoration. That night, Maya sat with Elena in the motel room, holding a printed badge with her name on it. She whispered, "I was ready to give up, but someone gave me a reason not to." Elena smiled through tears. "You're that reason for someone else now." The final kindness letter came in a plain white envelope with no return address. It was slid under the motel room door sometime in the early morning, before the sun had risen and before Elena or Maya had opened their eyes. Elena picked it up, first frowning as she turned it over in her hands. "You expecting something?" she asked Maya. Maya shook her head. "Maybe from the foundation?" Elena opened it carefully. Inside was a single page, typed in neat black letters. "I saw what you did for the girl in aisle 9. Now I need you to help someone who can't ask for it. Go to the train station, locker 311. The key is taped to the back of this letter." Elena turned it over. There it was, small, cold, silver. They looked at each other in silence. There was no signature, no hint. But something about it felt real. So they went. The Fresno train station was old and mostly quiet, used more by freight lines than people. The lockers were dusty, lined against the far wall beneath a flickering bulb. Elena unlocked 311 slowly. Inside was a thick blue folder and a photo. The photo showed a woman with short gray hair, hunched over in a wheelchair, sitting alone in a hallway that looked like a care facility. She was smiling, but something about it looked forced, broken. On the folder, one word was printed in bold: Janice. They opened the file. Janice had worked as a nurse for 40 years, saved lives, held hands, comforted dying patients when no one else would. But when she got older and slower, her nursing home replaced her. The same week, she had a stroke. Her savings ran dry in months. She was placed in a low-cost facility with barely enough staff. Her file had dozens of notes. One from a janitor who said, "She's always smiling, but never gets visitors. Still, asks how we're doing." Elena's heart sank. She gave her life to others, Maya whispered. And now she's forgotten. They looked at each other. And without another word, they drove straight to the address on the file. It was a beige building tucked behind a busy road, surrounded by weeds and silence. A faint smell of bleach filled the air. Inside, nurses walked by with tired eyes. Residents sat in wheelchairs, staring at TVs that buzzed without sound. They asked to visit Janice. The nurse on duty barely looked up. "Room 23. She's probably asleep." Elena and Maya walked in slowly. Janice sat near the window in her chair, awake, her eyes distant. But when Elena entered, those eyes lit up, just a little. "Are you my granddaughters?" Janice asked, her voice soft and shaky. Maya stepped forward, kneeling gently beside her. "No, ma'am. But we're here for you anyway." Janice's eyes filled with tears. They spent the whole day with her. They brought books, flowers, food that tasted like home. Janice spoke of her years in hospitals, the babies she helped deliver, the old men she sat with while they slipped away peacefully. She spoke of kindness. "I always believed," Janice whispered, "if I gave love, someone might give it back one day." Maya squeezed her hand. "You were right." A week later, Elena arranged for Janice to be moved to a better home. Keanu funded it without question. He didn't ask for pictures. He didn't want credit. He only said, "That woman changed more lives than she'll ever know. It's time someone changed hers." Janice's new room had sunlight, bookshelves, a small garden view, and a cat named Rudy who always jumped onto her lap. For the first time in years, she laughed freely. As the days passed, Elena and Maya kept visiting her. They started building something bigger, a program to find and rescue other Janices, other Mayas, other Elenas, workers, mothers, caregivers, dreamers, forgotten people with golden hearts. They called it the Dignity Project. Keanu appeared at the official launch. No red carpet, no press. Just him, in a hoodie, quiet and smiling. He stood behind them as they spoke. When it was Elena's turn, she looked around the room of workers, managers, small-town heroes, janitors, nurses, drivers, and smiled. "A year ago," she began, "I was on my knees in a dusty backlot, being yelled at for sitting too long. I didn't think anyone saw me. I thought, maybe I didn't matter." She paused, her voice breaking. Then a stranger handed me a bottle of water and reminded me I was human. The room was still. That stranger didn't just change my life. He made me believe that kindness isn't weak. It's the strongest thing we have. Keanu lowered his head quietly. A tear ran down his cheek. The crowd stood and applauded. Later, as the sun set and the event ended, Keanu walked with Elena and Maya into the empty parking lot. He looked at both of them and said, You took a single act of kindness and turned it into a movement. I'm proud of you. Elena smiled. You started it. He shook his head. No, he said. You answered it. They stood there quietly, the three of them, under a sky turning orange and gold. There were no cameras, no scripts, just people, real people. Kindness had found its way home.